What's up, my dudes? I'm LEGO Gun Builds, and here's a discussion video about why LEGO spring-loaded shooters are amazing. So, for some noteworthy information, we were introduced to the spring-loaded shooter and the stud shooter, Yucky, in 2014. And I gotta say, both of these had a pretty rough start, but I think over time, people, including myself, have warmed up to the spring-loaded shooter a lot more than the stud shooter. In my stud shooter video, which you should watch, by the way, if you haven't, but in my stud shooter video, I explained that there's a lot of situations in which the stud shooter just doesn't work and they overuse it so much, and there could be a lot of things to substitute the stud shooter for, and that's why so many people are annoyed with it. But I think there's a couple good uses. But for the spring-loaded shooter, however, I think that it has a lot of good uses, a lot of great examples of how it can be well implemented into a Lego set. Of course, there's bad examples, which I'm about to show you, but I think overall this is a much better design, and yes, it's overused, just like the stud shooter. However, I think that this is used better because it can be implemented in a way that this can't. Here I have two, in my opinion, bad placements of the spring-loaded shooter. So in the 2015 Turbo Tank, you just got these giant blue rods just sticking out the side, and it just looks really awkward. I mean, would it hurt just to put a red one in? I mean, it would match the red stripe on the side. It would go with the color scheme, and yeah, sure, that's not accurate, but at least it would look better. And would it really hurt? I mean, just to put a couple of spring-loaded shooters on the side, I think that could work well. But just didn't implement it at all. And to be honest, to be fair, I don't think there was really any other way to do it. And that's why I would have just used flick-fire missiles with just gray colors. I mean, I think just a dark gray flick-fire missile would just work fine. You don't need these giant things, and they just look really awkward. And then the second bad placement here, that in my opinion, of course, is the first order troop transport in 2015. And you just got these giant green rods sticking out, and you're thinking, well, you got this green stud shooter right here. But I think this is actually a good usage. So your pilot, your gunner, can just pop up out of there and use this. And I think that's actually a good usage of the stud shooter. I mean, it looks accurate, and I don't think taking these off, it looks bad. I mean, it's just two measly studs on this big ol' set. And when you put these in, and see, if spring-loaded shooters, in this situation, if you didn't have these giant tails, if it was just the end, the tip of it, I think it would look fine if you just cut these off. But I don't want to cut the pieces off, and they just look really awkward with these big, long rods sticking out. So those are just a couple of bad placements, in my opinion. So here I have some good examples of how spring-loaded shooters can be easily and effectively integrated into LEGO sets. So here I have the 2016 Rogue One assault tank, and you're just looking at it, you don't see any weird rods in it, you don't really notice anything, you can't see anything odd about it from almost any angle. But if you look very carefully under there, you can see the tips of two spring-loaded shooters. And just looking around the sides, you got these tiny, tiny little gears. And if you just twist them, boom, they fire. Like, that's all you need. It just turns a little Technic piece in there that hits the tail and fires the spring-loaded shooter. I mean, come on. Can it get any better than that? 2016's U-Wing dropship. You just look at it, and you can see the two heads of the spring-loaded shooters right there. And I mean, I don't think that would really bother anybody. And just looking at the design, you can just see these two tiles just sticking up barely. And you just press them, they hit the tails, and they fire. I mean, just another great integration. You just press down these two tiles, and they just hit down on the tails. It's just as simple as that. And then we got a similar one in 2018. Kylo Ren's TIE Silencer. Oh, this is a big set, but you can look down at the bottom. You got the red tips of the spring-loaded shooter, and it matches the glass of the cockpit. And if you just look on the top of the main fuselage, you got these little Technic pieces just sitting there. Just these little guys. You press them, your spring-loaded shooters fire. I mean, very similar to the U-Wing, and it works very effectively. And last but certainly not least, we got the Phantom 2. And you can just see the tips right there. I actually really like this one. There's a lot of yellow on this, and you can barely notice. Back here, you just got this little yellow Technic piece, and you just move it side to side, and it fires the spring-loaded shooter. It's just really simple, and it works. All of these, I think, are just great examples of how just a little bit of Technic work in your sets can make an amazing action feature. Another use for the spring-loaded shooter is that you can use the bolt pieces, because you always get spares in the Lego sets, and you can use them for MOCs. You can just clip them on to like a wall or something with clear pieces, or just have them floating in midair with clear pieces, and in your MOC you can make it look like there's a laser blast going across the battlefield. I've done that plenty of times before with these and lightsaber blades, and it's not like you're lacking in colors, so you can have all kind of blaster fire going across your battlefield, and you can make your MOCs look cooler that way. Just a little, I guess, mini MOC that I made because I like spring-loaded shooters so much. I made a missile launcher. Kind of excessive, yes, I know, but I was kind of bored a few years ago, and I just made this, and I've had it ever since. I used 16 spring-loaded shooters and just made a little stand for it where it can just rotate around, and you can just fire all of these off. It's pretty messy, but it's so satisfying. Oh boy, here we go. Oh boy. I'll forget it. Yeah, that went everywhere, but if I hadn't have hesitated, this thing's just so much fun. Spring-loaded shooters are just a lot of fun to play around with. Okay, test fire 2. I actually have something blocking to the right, so we're just gonna fire all these at once. It's just so satisfying. Oh, that's just fun. That's just so much fun. Okay, for test fire 3, I got some first order stormtroopers here, and I'm just gonna hit them with this. Let's see if it... Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Alright, and here's another example of why the stud shooter's bad. Like, you just saw the destruction that dealt out. It barely phased this man. I mean, there's so much more that this can do. You can just see it right here. Look at this absolute carnage. He barely moved. Just saying. Anyway, guys, that's all for this one. If you liked what you just saw, please hit the thumbs up. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please comment down below. If you want to stay updated with future content, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Hold on. Come on. Keep each other safe, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Lego Gun Builds, signing off.